Hello, everybody, and welcome to Todd and Shane's Cloudy Podcast number 422, recorded live Wednesday, February 13th, 2019. Good morning, Shane.
Hi, Todd. How are you and your unprocessable entity?
Yes, well, way to smoothly slide in HTTP code 422. Very sly. I'm sure if I hadn't have called that out, no one would have caught that.
I had that
Yep.
crushed.
You are good. You're smooth. Yeah, hey, so long time no see, huh? You and
I know. I mean, it's been what a
24
day.
hours? Yeah,
Oh my
something like
goodness.
that.
I mean, I have withdrawals. Do you want a hug or something? Can we hug?
I kind of do. I need a little loving, a little loving. Yeah. So Shane and I were at SPTechCon this weekend, and so that was fun. We taught an all-day class, and then some individual 75-minute sessions. It was a good time. This SPTechCon had some new stuff to it. It was downtown Austin, which Shane and I both found we don't fit in. We're not nearly cool enough for downtown Austin.
Whew, not even close.
It between all the scooters on the street and all of the bars and tattoo shops and all that, it was.
Yeah, it was definitely the first time I'd been to a city, right? And I haven't been to Cincinnati, so Cincinnati might be this way, but I was walking around in downtown, and literally about every 2 feet, there was an electric scooter to rent, and somewhere in my way, some were put over the side. It was really, really weird just how it had rained scooters.
Well, it actually rained rain as well while we were
It
there.
did.
It was 40 and rainy, which is not what I expect in Texas. But yeah, it was so yeah, the scooters and just just the feel, the aesthetic was very different. And I realized that we're late to this game. Like everybody else knew this about Austin.
Yeah.
But
On the bright side, we had some really good donuts, right? We did find
Voodoo
some.
Donuts, big shout out to them. Not an official sponsor, but we definitely enjoyed our Voodoo Donuts.
They definitely powered the conference for us.
Yep,
There's lots of
they were
donuts to be
good.
eaten.
Another shout out to Gus's Fried Chicken, which was down there. Big
Yeah,
fan of that.
we did really good, right? We ate some local fare. We kind of go backwards, right? So we had some really good barbecue. It was at Black's or Zach
Terry Black, I think.
Terry Black's barbecue. That was really good. We had the Gus's world famous fried chicken. That was really good. We had the Voodoo Donuts. But we started out our eating there with one of the world renowned things that Austin's known for, and that was P.F. Chang's.
Chang. Yeah, when I think of Austin, I think of P.F. Chang. Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but Gus's Fried Chicken is a chain with 26 locations in 12 states.
Well, it was a dump, so it was awesome.
It was, yeah, and I think that's why. So Shane and I were lamenting. Shane and I have very pedestrian palates. We could eat McDonald's or Chick-fil-A most every meal and not really notice.
Yes.
So we look for simple food for the most part when we go out. And we found that Gus was a nice combination of being a little weird, so not really obviously chainy, a little off, but not so off that we felt uncomfortable and we could enjoy our food. And turned out it's because it's a chain. That's
Right. It's always interesting how they would tell you they're not a chain. They just had so much success that they have just 26 locally owned and operated locations.
in 12 states, yeah, in a quarter of the country. Yeah.
That's called a chain, people.
Yep. But that was good. Yeah, and we wanted to go to Gus's Saturday night, but it was packed. There was a line out the door, and again, outside of the door, it was 40 and raining. So we went to whatever place we could get in right away. And it turns out it was P.F. Chang's.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I was a little tired. Didn't sleep real well, and had a rough travel day. You said you were a little tired. How come you're all sleepy this morning?
Oh, well, so unlike you, I still have a burgeoning volleyball career, right? I mean, the USA Olympic guys kind of keep looking at me off and on to see if I want to.
Do they?
Yeah.
Always on the bubble?
Yeah, always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Story of your life.
But yeah, so no, I still play really competitive volleyball. And, as an old guy, as a young guy, I used to be like, oh man, I got a 9:30 game, right? I'm going to get drunk before the game. I'm going to play. And then we're going to go drinking afterwards.
You'll get drunk again after the game. Yep.
And then I'll wake up tomorrow and go to work and life will be grand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I sit on my couch from 8 until 9. At 9, I leave my house, which is like a crime. I go play at 9:30. I get home at 11:30. And it takes me like 3 hours to go to sleep. Not because I'm busy drinking and eating, but because I'm an old guy and it takes that long for my body to come back down. So 9:30 matches, not really a big fan.
Yeah, I can't. So you told me that earlier, and I can't imagine what I would leave my house at 9:30 at night for. Not volleyball. So my exercise of choice right now is running. I wouldn't go running at night with some buddies. I wouldn't go play soccer with some buddies. Um, if the house was on fire, maybe, but it would really depend on how tired I was,
Yeah.
whether I left the house if the house caught on fire at 9:30. I'm just too old for that stuff these days.
Me too. When we play at 5:30, 6 o'clock, that works out okay. But yeah, these 9:30s, that's for kids, and I am not a kid.
Yeah, and for folks that don't hang out with Shane, first off, your wise life choice there. But also, Shane would eat dinner at like 10 after 5 every night. So understand that 5:30 really is a sacrifice for Shane. Like it really is a deal. Yeah.
Hey, look here. The blue plate specials at 4:30 at Cracker Barrel are off the hook. If you can beat the retired generation into Cracker Barrel, you can get some really good stuff at a nice price. So yeah, I have no problem with being done with dinner by 5 o'clock.
Frugal and yeah, all that. So yeah, and the other night when we went to Terry Black's, Shane probably didn't get food in his belly till nearly 7, and hangry fussy Shane came out. I wish I'd had some Twizzlers or something in my bag that I could give him, but he held strong. We appreciate that.
I was well behaved.
You were. I could tell though. I could feel it.
I did not want to be well behaved. I wanted to be like, if there had been a McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, as you had aforementioned, I would have just walked and fed myself.
Yeah, and that is one thing about Austin. There's far fewer of those kind of things. There was no places to do that. But no, it was good. Had a great time. Had a great SPTechCon. Got new ownership here a year or so ago, and there were some improvements this year. I was excited. The food was a little better. They had like breakfast food this time, which is something previous SPTechCons just had like pastries and stuff. One of the things that they had that was fun was they had video game consoles all over, or not consoles, but like the arcade ones, the retro ones, and that was kind of cool.
Was that the conferences doing, or is that just what a hotel in Austin has to do to be hip?
Well, that's a very important point, but I think it was the conferences doing because
Okay.
I think they had an event last night that had some of that stuff too.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, and it's still going on right now. Shane and I left. I had a thing last night. He had volleyball at midnight last night, so we ended up leaving early.
Yeah, or the fact that we had to fly out on Saturdays,
Yeah.
to get there. Maybe we put in our time. We just put in our time before anyone else got there, so it was time to come home.
So it was a good time. So if you've seen the SPTechCon stuff and you're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to go or not, it absolutely was a great show. They did a great job. I had no complaints whatsoever. Had a great time. Thanks to them for inviting us and putting up with us.
Definitely. All right. So up next, I think I'm really, speaking of being cool and hip, Todd, helped me with one of my quests recently, and he went and ordered some really new hip technology that we're going to do an unboxing video, right? Because that's really popular. So, you got the Pokemon unboxings and the Tinder eggs. And so now Todd's going to unbox something and see if we can just drive the ratings through the roof here.
Yeah, and the Kinder eggs, I didn't realize that, but those things are illegal in the U.S. And thank goodness nobody watches this thing. I illegally smuggled some into the U.S. and didn't know it. And honest to God, people get in trouble for that. And I had no idea.
Is that why Todd Clint lost his TSA pre-check?
I think that could be it. That was one of my last trips. Yeah. No, so when I was over in Croatia last winter, or in December, Kinder had a big Christmas thing, and I was asking them about it. They're like, "Oh, Kinder eggs aren't huge there. It's these eggs with toys inside." And I'm like, "Ah, sounds like something that my kids would love." So I bought a bunch at the airport, brought them home. My kids loved them, and then I was looking it up, and yeah, you legitimately get put in jail and stuff. I dodged that one. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
sorry. I knew because my kids had asked about them probably 4 or 5 years ago. And so I was like, well, Daddy can produce some Kinder eggs. And I did a little research. And I knew all the bad things that you had done.
Yep. So in the chat room, everybody but me knew about it. But yeah, so went out, got some stuff, and the since we can't do Kinder egg things on YouTube without violating state and federal laws, we'll do this. So it's an unboxing thing. So this is a thing. I got this off eBay. I got this. Shane and I both wanted it, but Shane hasn't been on eBay since 1997. Bad experience. He didn't want to go into a lot of details. But I'm out there. I'm doing stuff. So I ordered this stuff, and it came in while we were gone. I was hoping it would come in before I left for Austin, but it did not. So if anybody would like to guess, by the size of this, what it is, and I guess guess I'm showing my home address, but hey, don't come cause me any problems. So this is a thing. So this is something that we're very excited about. Something I don't have anymore. I was excited to get some more of.
Oh, Mark is guessing it's a VCR tape. That's a pretty good guess.
VCR tape. That's you know, I actually have some VCR tapes. If I yeah. But so no, we're gonna rip this off, get these open, and so here this is. Are we ready for the unveiling of the surprise? A Windows Phone, also a good guess. Something else another hint of this, it was something my children have never seen in real life before. They were very excited when I told them what I was getting. An iPack. Rob, I absolutely had a couple of iPacks. So we'll get one more guess. I see that Brett is typing. We'll see what he thinks it is. And then we'll, several people. 3 cassette tape, very cool. I do have some of those too. Drum roll.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's save icons.
It's physical save icon.
I bought a whole bag of save icons. Yeah. So let's get some of these out. I think most of them are this kind of tan and brown, but let's see what we got for color in here.
Yep, 3.5-inch floppy disk for those of you that are watching on those of you that are listening. It's a 3.5-inch floppy disk, a whole box of them.
Got a green save icon.
Yeah, the floppy that wasn't floppy.
Yes.
Oh, Eric, you had 300 of them. Well, if you got some colors, I mean, I went on Amazon and looked. I mean, they're like $50 now on Amazon. They know what they got. They know they got a cool thing that's old people are nostalgic for.
Yep. So yeah, mine are apparently all but 2 are green. So yeah, I got them on eBay. It was like $7, something like that. Oh, some 5 1/4. Yeah. So it was funny because I knew my kids had never seen them in real life. So I was telling them, I'm like, when you're working on documents and yet, if you want to print it, you click the print button. It's got a picture of a printer on it. But if you want to save it, what's that a picture of? And my oldest daughter's like, I have no idea. It's like a box or something. Are you putting it in a box? And my middle daughter's like, well, I use Google Docs and you don't have to save. There's no save button because it just saves automatically. I'm like, you are a fun stealer. Get out of here.
Well, I hate to point you're a bad parent for letting your child use Google Docs.
It's the schools, Shane. They do everything.
Who's in charge of the PTO?
They're indoctrinating them at the schools with this Google stuff, and there's nothing I can do. But yeah, so I told them what it was. I'm like, no, this is a disk. It stores data. It's and this was such a foreign thing to my children that they didn't understand that this is like 30, 40-year-old technology. They thought I got them because we were going to use them. Like they thought we were going to put stuff on them. And I didn't have the time to break out the orders of magnitude. I'm like, you couldn't store a single digital image on one of these things. It's only, yeah.
It's as savvy. You're absolutely correct, right? I mean, the phone by default, the smallest picture I've seen it take is about 2.5 megs. So
yeah, couldn't do it. So that yeah. So Shane was I was going to do some stuff. The colors kind of stink, but we'll figure something out. But yeah, it's a 3D print of a save icon. That's what this is. So.
All right. I guess now that we're 15 minutes in and we've enjoyed ourselves, should we talk about something
valuable? So we've got a few PowerShell things. I've been doing a lot of PowerShell work lately. And first I have to give a shout out to Ali in the chat room. And I don't think he's on today, but he put a great thing in there last week about if you're using PowerShell and you're on the PowerShell prompt and you're just typing stuff. If you type an object type and you after you type the type, you hit Control and then the space bar, it gives you all the properties for that object right on the screen. It gives a little compact list, and you can use arrows to go through them and all that. Man, it's the coolest thing ever. I didn't know that was there. I've been using PowerShell for 10 years.
I also did not know it. Yeah, and so if you want to try it out, Todd had a great one. You just put get child item in parentheses, then do a dot, and then hit Control space, and it just pops right up. And I was like, that looks terrible, but exactly like it should look, which is really awkward, right? I kept trying to. That was the reason I did it. I wanted to see how it manifested itself, and it looks like yucky, ugly PowerShell, but that's exactly the way it should look. So it was perfect. It was weird.
Yeah. So that was an amazing hint. So thanks to Ali for that. And I thought I would share that with everybody because so it's when you're figuring stuff out and trying to get get the properties, or just even to type them quickly, not even to discover them, but just to type them quickly. That was pretty awesome. So then that reminded me of a bunch of other things that I've seen. One of them was an article I read here recently about exposing the virtue or extolling the virtues of not using write debug in your PowerShell scripts. So if you haven't done it before, write debug is a great way to put things output in your script that you don't want to normally show up, and then when you run your command loader or whatever and you do -debug, then it exposes this write debug stuff. People use it to figure out where values are set if they've screwed something up. I'll be honest, I never really used it much. I am a horrible PowerShell scripter, and what I normally do is I just put write host, whatever the variable is, and then go from there and take those out at the end. But the guy that wrote the blog post is like, don't use write debug. It's annoying. He gives a bunch of reasons it stops the thing. He mentions instead that you should use breakpoints inside of your ISE. So either the PowerShell ISE or VS Code have breakpoints, and this is the ability to run a script and then have it stop while the script is running, and then you have a panel that shows you all your variable values and all those kind of things. And that's probably a much better way. I've not adopted that yet. I still do the bad thing.
Yeah, and so stuff like that, I almost wonder if that's like a perspective thing. So, for example, if you and I are troubleshooting PowerShell, it's usually for someone else, right? It's on the fly in front of a bunch of people right now. Fix this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to go mess with breakpoints and in and out, right? Whereas I can just quickly say write host and then run it again, and there's value. I see the value in what he's doing here, but I don't think it works for what I typically have to use when I'm trying to work on people's PowerShell.
Have you used breakpoints much?
Not with PowerShell. I've used them in previous languages.
I haven't either, so same caveat. But in my head, what he's doing is, so our workflow is we're opening up a script and it's 80 lines or whatever, and we think we know roughly where the problem's at. So we go to line 37 and we do write host, $A, $B, whatever, and then we run it again. In his example, I think we open up the 80 line script, we go to line 37, and instead of typing anything, we say insert breakpoint, and then we run it, and it stops at line 37, and we've got a panel with all the variables.
Right, and once again, this is just my very simple perspective. I'm certain he's much smarter, better looking, all those things than I am. But I usually end up doing this inside of some type of for all or some type of loop. So, I don't want to be break. I just want to be streaming on the screen.
Stops. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Once again, I'm certain he's right, I'm wrong, but in my workflow, breakpoints would be more work, not less work.
Yeah, for those kind of things, you're exactly right. I agree. If you're iterating through a bunch of stuff. Now, I will say, though, so the guy Stephen Owen is the blog where he talks about that. It's at foxdeploy.com. I will say for sure to mention that he has the date that he posted this.
Good job.
February 7th, 2019. So we will know if, down the road, the debug functionality is different or something. We will know when he wrote this and why it's not there.
Well, kudos for that.
Yep. Do you have any other tips on how to do troubleshooting?
Well, yeah, the other thing I just wanted this reminding me of is when I was troubleshooting the whole saving a SharePoint Online site as template and working through the template engine, if you will. I figured out that, and I'm sure you all probably already knew this, but if you do a set-PNP trace log, you can turn up the verbosity of PNP with just one little command. And so that's really important if you're having a hard time getting one of these templates to apply, because then it just starts spitting out line by line. What's it doing? What's it doing? What's it doing? So whereas if you go and just say apply template in verbose, you don't really get any additional information. So you need to turn on this set PNP trace log.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things, like when we did the PowerShell session yesterday, the get PNP properties and all that, all those little PNP specific things that you got to stumble across when you have a problem. So set PNP trace log is a good one to add to that list.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So another one somewhat related, and this one I saw Jeff Snover tweeted this morning. This is something that we've talked about before, but if you're in Windows, Windows 10, whatever, and you're in Explorer and you're poking around and you're looking for this great script that you wrote that you can't find, if you get Explorer in the directory where you're at, where that script is, if you go up to the address bar in Explorer and just type PowerShell, it'll open up a PowerShell prompt in that window or in that directory.
I think I've known that, right? Because I think the CMD stuff does the same thing.
CMD does that too, yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely done that somewhere along the way.
Yep. But that's not obvious, and having known that, I still don't do it very often.
Agree.
But that's a good one, easy one. I find myself doing that same thing.
And that's that Snover guy who thinks he's as good as PowerShell as me, right? That's that one.
He seems to have a bit of an ego when it comes to PowerShell. Yeah, I mean, he seems like a nice guy. I've met him a couple of times. But he does seem to yeah. Yes.
Well, you know what he can't do though? He can't tell me why SharePoint page performance matters. Can you tell me why SharePoint page matters?
Sometime, and I've been tasked with that lately, and there are many ways. It's like reading the tea leaves, trying to figure out why a SharePoint page performance is bad. But the fine folks at Syskit, you can tell by the very professional-looking logo I've got over my right shoulder, recently wrote a white paper on this, and I like it. So obviously it's marketing material because they've got a tool that does this, but they talk about, for guys like you and I, you know, we did a thing, it was yesterday morning, about SharePoint and, you know, what's new, and we talk about how branding is not how it used to be, and you know, you're talking about how for 10 years when we would install SharePoint, the very first question we would get is, how do we make this not look like SharePoint?
Yep.
I would argue a competitor for the very first question I ever get about SharePoint is, why is it so slow? That was also a very common one. And for you and I back in the day, we had a bunch of different things we would test, you know, the web server and SQL and network connections and web part page. I mean, all these things that we could get into. And now that we're mostly doing SharePoint Online, the question still comes up. Some of the same problems are there, but the tools are radically different. And this white paper does a good job of explaining what we can do as SharePoint Online administrators, how the page is built and what the pieces of it are. And then they talk through some ways on how you can troubleshoot it. And they start out talking about some tools, so things like the developer tools in Chrome, which is honestly what I do mostly when I'm trying to troubleshoot page performance. They talk about some PowerShell that you can use to measure page load time. I have also, when I have done this for customers, I've always also done some networking things. So they talk about in the white paper about getting a baseline. And so this is a trick that you and I have been using for 15 years, where if a page loads slowly, we will go create a new site of the same type or a new web app of the same type. And if, you know, team site front page A loads in 15 seconds and we just go new SP site and we create a new one, and that new team site loads in 3 seconds, well, we know there's something on that page. But if it also loads in 15 seconds, then we know it's systemic. Then we know it's a web server or something like that. So I do some of the networking testing stuff because that's another piece of that pie. But then they go in and they talk about the last one is, well, we've got this great tool, Syskit Insights, that does all these measurements for you. And that's, you know, but it's a really well written article. And I think they've written another one earlier, because when I first saw this, I'm like, hey, I've read this before. They're retweeting it. And then it was a new one again, because it had the date on it. I could tell, February 12th, 2019.
Who knew that dates were a handy way to communicate when something happened?
I love it. So I'm trying to think what the other. Oh yeah, so in October they had one, yeah. So they've got some good ones out there, and actually they have a whole tag of performance stuff. So I'll put that in the show notes too. So yeah, that's just one of those things. Our jobs as SharePoint administrators are changing. And in this one, the job itself isn't changing, but the tools are changing. So it's just kind of good to read through this, even if you're not doing it right now, just to know what the options are. Because the first time somebody came to me and said, Office 365 is slow, I had my on-prem administrator hat on, and I'm like, I can't help you. I can't touch the SQL servers or the whatever. What do you want me to do? I mean, I just had to reframe the question and fix some stuff since then. So it's good tools to have.
Definitely. Very definitely. It's so weird. Right, because like we talked about before, right? The internet has become so integral into the part, you know, whether or not your company, things work at your company, and yet no one really wants to think about maybe that's the reason Office 365 is slow. So
yeah, and so I definitely got one customer that has many offices worldwide, and was doing some troubleshooting. They had some legitimately poorly written web parts and web pages that we got the developers in and they fixed. And they had one office that was doing a reverse proxy thing that was going out of the wrong endpoint. So, I mean, the reverse proxy thing was fine, but there was a configuration issue where, you know, people on the East Coast would hit the reverse proxy, and instead of them going out the East Coast, it would go across to the West Coast and go out. So we fixed that. But then we had one office we just couldn't fix, and turns out it's that, you know, in the dead of night, that office with all the stuff going on is 80% utilization on its internet pipe. And I'm like, well,
Wow.
that's gonna happen. Processes and backups and all that. It was just they had not in all of the, and it was a big company, and in all of the things going on, they just hadn't checked the internet usage.
Yeah.
So Merrill brought up a fun screenshot in the Syskit thing where they've got Office 366. Get a little extra. That's for leap years. That's for next year. That's yeah.
Yeah, we got to get ourselves prepared, start wrapping our heads around leap year next year. So we're getting out ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, the next generation. Office 365 is great. I'm holding out for Office 366. I think that's when they'll really get it firmed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so some of the performance stuff also around the internet. The other thing we've been running into is as people are starting to deploy to the cloud, sometimes they think through their deployments to the cloud and they keep it all in the same region, but we're running into people who are, spinning up their instance of Power Apps out of the East Coast region and then putting their Azure SQL backend in, the West Coast Canada region. And then like SharePoint or Power Apps is slow. Why can't it query my data? I'm like, well, you see, there's this pipe and you guys have, so yeah, it's a real consideration is, what is the internet doing these days?
It's all tubes all the way down. Yep. And so Merrill, your thing I'm looking at, what page is that on? The monitoring one. All right.
I mean, if you look at where you posted the link, it's right on the screen. I see it.
It is. Because I'm gonna shoot him a thing. But so if I go to that page and I do a Control F for 366, I don't see it.
Well, so I'm guessing it's like a WordPress engine where you have to go in and put the page snippet that's coming out. So you separately define that. It's not pulling off the page. You get to separately put that in.
I'll jump in. I'll chase that down for him. All right. So another fun thing that you and I, I've talked about multiple times over the last few months is the difference between Office clients and how there actually is a difference between Office clients. A big difference, and we discovered this, or well, not we discovered it. It's like discovering a continent where there's already people. But we first became aware of this with Office 2016, and we would have never thought that Office 2016 was any different than Office 365 in the Word, Excel, and all that. Turns out, once again, as is quite often the case, you and I were wrong.
Boo!
There was a big difference, and so we talked about it. And I kind of had machines on both so I could compare them and contrast them. And Office 2019 came out for those that are using the 2016, 2019. And this week, last week, Microsoft came out with some videos to kind of illustrate the differences. And it was called the Twins Challenge. And I thought it was very timely because you and I have talked about this. So I watched these videos. And basically what they do is they take two twins. So it's two sets of twin boys and then a set of twin girls. And they give them Surface whatever tablets, and then a list of tasks to run. And one twin has Office 2019 and one twin has Office 365. And then they show how much easier it is in Office 365. So in reality, what it is 3 videos of stuff only Office 365 does.
Yep.
Marketing folks. But it's kind of funny. And then, so the twins are kind of snapping at each other because the twin on Office 365 is like, well, I'm already done with task 1. What are you doing over there? And all that. So there was kind of 2 lessons that I took out of this, that Office 365 is a better client base. So you should use that. And the other thing I took out of it is siblings are jerks. Like twins are just horrible people. Like I'm glad I'm an only child. Holy cow.
Yeah, as I say, as an only child, I'm certain watching 2 brothers or 2 sisters argue was just something that you just couldn't fathom. So I get the pain that caused you.
Yeah, that was, but it's but an interesting thing. So if you have an Office 365 subscription, take a look at the videos and that and see if you can move to the Office 365 version of the clients, because I think you'll appreciate that.
Yeah, and if you move to the Office 365 clients by default, so just something to kind of wrap your head around. If you go out to the website, it's going to pull down the 32-bit version, and it's going to put you on the semi-annual updates.
Yes, it will.
So you want to click the advanced button, and you want to get yourself on the 64-bit version on the monthly updates.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go through all that, and I stopped and uninstalled everything and put that on, and it was so worth the effort. The monthly version of Office 365 is just cool. It's just better. I love it.
Yeah, so in the notes, I've got the Todd's Tale of Woe. So that was what that was. You stole my thunder.
Oh.
So I've got many machines that I work on. I think I've probably got 3 or 4 main machines that I work on that I had different versions on. And on my desktop version, a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you in Austin, Outlook quit letting me search inside of emails. And it was when Microsoft was having all the DNS issues, so I thought it was a thing because it was the error it was giving me was that I didn't have a network connection, which very clearly I had a network connection. So I was thinking maybe some endpoint that Outlook was trying to use couldn't resolve. Didn't go away. And I thought that machine was on Office 2019. So this morning I was going to uninstall Office 2019, install Office 365, and I went in and looked at the help and about, and it was already running Office 365. I'm like, well, it can't be because it looks way different. Like this other one over here has all the new shapes and all that and all the stuff, and this one, what? And I'm looking at it, and then I look, one of them was on the monthly release, which was the one that had all the fun, fancy stuff, and the other one was the twice a year release that has all the non-fancy stuff. So I had to go out and do a Bing search on that. And it brings up an article. It was the very first hit, like switch Office 365 to monthly or whatever. But it gave some registry keys that you have to hit, and it gave batch file commands. So I put that in a notepad. I went and translated it to PowerShell. And basically what you do is you just change the endpoint that it pulls the patches from, clear out anything, and then just tell it to look for updates. And so that happened, and I got it fixed, and everything's going.
Yeah, and I tried the registry key method, Microsoft's, and it did not work for me. And so I found, and I think we shared in the links in the show a few weeks back, but there's a way that you can go and do the click to run that's in the Office folder, and you set the parameters there. That has worked on several people's PCs for me without issue.
Yep. So I kind of wondered about that because the registry key bit was kind of flimsy. So I was watching in Task Manager, and I had it open, and I had the the full commands. And I could watch it running, the program files, shared files, Office, click to run.exe, and the parameters. I did not have that problem, but it was good. So then I did that, and then on the other machine, I went to see if it had any updates, and it didn't. And then I rebooted it, and it got the Windows update for the new thing, and that one took forever to install. So if you're on one of the fast rings for Windows 10, if it says it's going to install an update, just know that that's going to take like a half an hour. So
just go ahead and count on
Yep, I fell for that twice in the last 2 days, but good stuff in Office. So do that, and so that those videos when they came out and I watched them the first time, I thought it was kind of funny because it was Microsoft kind of slamming on their own product because they're like, you can get Office 2019, but it's really not that great. You should get this Office 365 thing instead. I thought that was really odd. And then right on the heels of that, they posted another article about the perils of using Internet Explorer as your default browser, which, as is the case on the internet and just information in general, everybody looked at that and went, the perils of using Internet Explorer. Microsoft's saying Internet Explorer sucks, blah. Well, not exactly. If you read the article, the guy talks about the history of web browsers and web pages and how the technology has moved and all the things that web browsers have had to do to be compatible with every web page that's ever been written. And basically his argument is that you shouldn't have Internet Explorer as your default browser because then you can't intelligently choose it when you've got newer web pages and older web pages, things like that. So it was a good read for guys like us that deal a little bit with web pages, but not a lot with web pages. Just, kind of a quick primer on things like doc types and quirk mode and things like that.
Yeah, and so my machine's a fun setup because mine defaults to Edge, and I left it defaulting to Edge.
God, man, whatever for.
But I use Chrome for like everything. So only thing that happens in Edge is like when I click on links in like emails and stuff. So, and I don't know why I haven't just flipped to tell Chrome. I just don't think I can accept that I've moved to Chrome. So if I change the default to Chrome, then that'll make me sad. But I use Chrome every day, all day.
Sadder than when Edge pops up?
What does Edge do wrong?
Everything.
No,
it's horrible. Like nothing runs in it. None of my extensions run in it, and
Edge does just fine for what I use it for today. And the good news is like because then all the crap that I'm clicking on in people's emails is over in the Edge browser. They don't give two poops about it. I can close at any point. Whereas Chrome, I've got Power Apps and flows and things, and I can leave that running all the time. And if I click on a link in an email, it takes me to a separate world, which is Edge. It's worked well for me.
I can't even begin.
He's
So
offended.
I dislike Edge so much. Like I don't even have the icon in my taskbar. I take that away. I used to only ever use Edge to download Chrome, and I couldn't even stand that. So now I've got a PowerShell script that goes out and downloads the Chrome installer for me, so I don't even have to open up Edge for that. It's not a good browser. It's just not good.
Well, the next version of Edge will be what is it? Whatever based, right? They're moving the engine.
The Chrome engine, yeah.
Chromium or something. Is that what it?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was ugly. So yeah, it wasn't Microsoft necessarily bashing their product, just that having Internet Explorer 11 as your default browser in a corporate environment, probably not the best.
Yeah, I've not used Internet Explorer and just as on the last topic, I went and found the link again, so it'll be in the show notes. The move to monthly release using the click to run method. So
good. And Meryl is talking about Chrome liking memory. Chrome does use a lot of memory. I agree with that. You can turn some of that down. So the reason it takes so much memory is because it's prefetching things on the page that you're on, trying to anticipate the thing you're going to link to. You can turn that off. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it does do a fair amount of that.
Well, the good news for it is that Slack has set the bar so high in the amount of memory that you can waste away on a machine that Chrome doesn't even like show up, right? I've got like 17 Slack windows that are beating it. So
yeah, it doesn't even come close. Not in the top 10. All right, let's talk about some speaking stuff, some community stuff. There's going to be SharePoint Saturday in Kansas City on October 19th. I'm planning on going to that. I don't know if I'm going to be speaking or anything, but I plan on going down there. It's just a short 3.5 hour drive that way for me, so probably go see those folks, see what's going on.
Very cool.
And then promotion. So SPTechCon, we already did that one. I would say it's a rousing success. Everybody had a good time.
That one's in the books. Yep. So that brings us to my PowerShell and Flow training. Why more of you haven't signed up, right? We've got the beginners class on February 20. You know, of course, the moment I go to read, OneNote freaks out.
I got it open.
So February 21st is the intro class if you need to get somebody up to speed. And then February 25th to 28th is the, get in there and actually learn to do and build production apps. And
I would like to bring up that in the notes you wrote it as PowerShell and Flow. And I was reading that and I'm like, I thought you were telling me you've never used PowerShell with Flow.
I don't like you. Keep that up and we're going to talk about delegation again.
So yes, Power Apps and Flow training next week. Sign up for that.
Yeah, and I don't know, if you said Todd sucks, you get a discount. So
I thought the promotion code is Todd is the most handsome man ever, and I thought that got you like a free class or something. Did I mishear that?
I think you misheard that. Your mom probably she was lobbying me for that, and it turns out.
Oh, jeez, I just knocked a bunch of stuff over on my desk. Holy cow!
Will you calm down? We're trying to do a show here. You're supposed to keep the background noise to a minimum.
The rage got to me. I apologize. So yeah, do that. Sign up for Shane's thing next week. It'd be a good time. I will begrudgingly say that we did an 8-hour Power Apps and Flow session Sunday at SPTechCon, and the crowd loved it, and everybody learned a bunch. And so you might learn something if you go to Shane's training.
You might. So then we got the Kansas City user. Right? Didn't we just talk about Kansas City?
Well, so Kansas City SharePoint Saturday.
Okay.
And then this is the monthly Kansas City user group. I'll be down there a month from Monday, last Monday.
I gotcha. Very cool.
It's just like a 3.5 hour drive south of here, so I'm just gonna go down there.
I'm having flashbacks. Can you put dates on your snippets about where things are?
Deja vu. So I did get freaked out about that because obviously February this year has 28 days, so March and February have the same days, and I saw something about that, and I saw that it was Monday the 11th, and I'm like, oh my God, I scheduled it the same time I'm gonna be in Austin. No, it's Monday, March 11th, not Monday, February 11th.
Yeah, which reminds me, it's a good job on reminding me, even though you didn't mean to remind me.
I did.
So I'm speaking at Eric Van Roy's user group next Wednesday. So
jump in there.
I don't know. I mean, so I'm definitely doing it virtual. I'm not flying to Green Bay just to speak, but I don't know if there's ways for all of you guys to join or not. So you guys should just hit up Eric on Twitter and be like, I want to listen to Shane too. How do I join virtually? And see what he says. I'll put him on the spot. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. No, it was a good group. I spoke there last month, so I've set the bar very high for you. Don't disappoint them.
This is much like the whole, Chrome versus Slack and who can eat the most memory. You are definitely Chrome in this relationship, so I will eat it all.
And then Meryl is asking if you and I are going to be at the North American Collaboration Summit. As a matter of fact, yes, we will. Meryl, I understand you'll be there as well.
Yeah. And Meryl, you should sign up. So I am doing another all-day Power Apps and Flow training post-conference. So on that Saturday.
Yes.
But the conference itself is what, March 14th and 15th, a Thursday and a Friday, in lovely Branson, Missouri.
Branson, yep. Named after Richard Branson. I heard that. Is that not the case?
Yeah, they haven't promised me any fancy stuff. Right? The next people we're going to talk about, they promised me to meet a fancy person. I don't think there's anyone fancy to meet in Branson. I'm not sure.
Yep. So go down there. We'll be there. Shane's doing the thing. I'm doing a session on Thursday morning. I forget Shane's doing some other stuff. So definitely go down there. And it's a way better event than you would think would happen in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. But it's good stuff.
Oh, Meryl's doing a session on PowerShell for admins. Very important stuff.
Boy.
Good job, Meryl.
So check out Meryl's session on that.
All right. Then
next event, you're going to be at SharePoint Saturday in Omaha.
I am. And more important, it's not in the show notes, on SharePoint, or on Friday before that SharePoint Saturday.
SharePoint Friday in Omaha.
Shut up. I'm tired. Did we mention that? We want to have the conversation about how I'm tired?
PowerShell and Flow session. I hear that's a big hit.
If anybody else would like to co-host a show with me in Todd's place, I'm looking for people to sign up.
Oh.
So on the Friday, so March 29th, if you're in Omaha, I'm doing an all-day Power Apps and Flow class. So that'll be available to all of you. And if you can't make that, then come over for Saturday for the SharePoint Saturday event, where they will have the #1 keynote speaker in the history of the universe.
That is demonstrably untrue. You're not even the best keynote speaker for that event.
It's cute that you think things like that.
Uh-huh.
So, yep. So that should be a lot of fun, though. The Omaha people, I hear they put on a good event. This will be my first time visiting them. But since they paid me millions of dollars to come be the keynote speaker.
What? No, I did not get paid millions of
dollars.
They've
got all my riders, right? I need 64 white towels, 2 gray towels, some blue M&Ms, and nothing but universal, sustainably sourced avocados from Mexico. Yeah. But I'm not going to eat any of them, but I want them piled up in a nice pyramid to so I can knock them over. They have a nice
look when you get I did get a good steak out of that deal when I went last year, though. So went to Warren Buffett's place and got, not his house, but like his restaurant, and got a steak. So that was pretty good.
Very nice. All right. So what we got after that? We got Seth.
Yeah. So because I'm probably going to miss all the Omaha stuff because I'm flying to Sweden that weekend for an event there. And it's, the event starts on Monday, which means I got to get there on Sunday, which means I got to fly out on Saturday. And it just, it doesn't work out. But I'm going to be at the SharePoint Exchange Forum in Stockholm, Sweden, April 1st and 2nd. Mark's going to be there. Julie's going to be there. A bunch of other people. Eric Schups, I talked to him yesterday. He's going to be there. Great stuff. We're going over there. Stockholm's a great city. Sweden's a great country. So looking forward to that.
I would go, but my passport's expired, and I just keep forgetting to renew it. So
I think you wouldn't hate Stockholm.
I probably wouldn't, but I'm not at this point in my life. I'm not willing to risk it. What if I got a volleyball match at like midnight to play? I mean,
you probably do. You probably a volleyball match going on right now that you're missing. And then I get a month to recover, and then you, me, and Vegas SharePoint conference.
Are we getting married?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
I've had worse offers. So you and I are doing a workshop on Monday, an administration for SharePoint workshop. We'll be doing PowerShell, Flow, all the good PowerShell and Flow. So yeah, we'll be there doing that all day Monday, and then just kind of running around. I don't think we have any hour-long sessions or breakouts, so we'll just be running around causing trouble. It's gonna be a good time.
Heck no, I think we should just do. All right, so how about this?
Okay.
So we're going to go, right? We're going to do the all-day thing. That's an official conference. And I think we should have a poolside conference the rest of the week where we just have competing sessions that we present at the pool. Let's just crash their party and be like, sup, dogs. We got our own pool party.
I think that maybe get a cabana. And yeah, we'll have to look and see. Because I know they shut the pools down in Vegas. It gets too cold for pools. So we'll have to see if they're going to be open at the MGM in May, at the end of May. But yeah, I think a pool cabana session. I like it. Business write-off. It's all, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll be topless the whole time. Oh, yeah. Topless power apping. If that's not a sport, what is?
I no comment. This family show. I can't comment on that. But yeah, that's all the stuff for this year. I think it's a busy year, man. We're hitting the busy season now, and yeah. So, well, I think that's everything. I think I got the whole deal. So thanks to everybody in the chat room. You were great audience. It was good seeing you this weekend. I'm sad that I'm not going to see you in Omaha probably.
I know. It's almost like I thought when I was going there, I was going to get to see you, and I kind of made all my plans around seeing you there. I feel like there's a story here, but maybe not for now.
Yeah. So in Shane's defense, when the Omaha folks were looking for something, like, oh yeah, Shane should come over. It'd be great. We'll hang out all weekend. I'll drive over. And then the Sweden thing came up, and I was a jerk of a friend, and I picked everything over Shane. Yeah. There's only a volleyball match I could go to instead.
Very cool. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today.
Yep. Shane's got to go eat. His belly's getting full. The chat room will be around for a bit. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.